Hello, loves. So today I'm going to go into a shared heart space, masculine and feminine message, in part because of the energies that have been coming through so intensely over the last few days and weeks. But also, I'm feeling this deeply sort of frozen and in process of thawing energy in the high heart space. Before I dive into those messages, I want to share a few things that have been coming up. Yesterday, in my message on YouTube, someone in the comments pointed out that energy of the fact that we have been moved to a new timeline. And she expressed seeing like the once you move to the old timeline or new timeline, the old timeline collapses. And I'm so glad that she brought that up because that's part of what I have been seeing over the last few weeks is that we like reached that precipice point into the new, that all of those old timelines are collapsing or the residuals are coming up to get cleared out so that they can finish completing their collapse, which will allow your energy to refocus to the present moment. This, the more that I'm thinking about this as I'm speaking it, it makes a lot of sense where the frustration has been coming up, especially seeing a lot of feminines commenting, feeling like they've done so much work and they're looking for a place for their skills, their love, their energy to land, and where potentially where they thought it was going to land is not actually available just yet. And that feels interconnected with what I'm speaking about around the timeline shifting and the message that came in yesterday that if there is this void in this quiet time, it's the stillness. Maybe this came in on the membership video. There's a lot that was coming in, so just bear with me. But around like during that time, like if you've been on the trajectory, you've done everything that's been asked of you, and you're still reaching like that still point, and there's not really a next step forward opening up just yet, or the way that you thought it was going to go is not what's opening up, it's because you are actually being realigned to that timeline that you have been asking for. This a long time ago, someone asked me like, why do you speak about timelines and like explain it, or I don't really understand it. It's all like the same timeline. The best way that I've been shown is thinking of it like this. So, say you have a friend in high school who's your best friend. You're together every single day. You're infiltrated in each other's life. You know each other like the back of your hand. You are best friends, and there's no separation between you. You're like sisters. And then all of a sudden you graduate high school and you go to different colleges, or you then one of you gets married and the other one moves away, and all of a sudden you're on your own timelines, your separate timelines. You're no longer on the same timeline where you were syncing up with each other every single day. Right. And some people go through a lot of big shifts and they experience a lot of different timelines. And then, say, like 10 years later, she syncs back up with that same friend. And now, they're back in each other's life and they're on a similar timeline once again. Okay. This happens actually quite a lot with people who are moving and growing and doing different things. Now, some other people get on a timeline and they stay embedded on that timeline. They go to the same places, they hang out with the same people. You know what I mean? They do the same things day in and day out, year after year. All okay. It's just they've all sort of stayed on that similar timeline. And then there's people like us, most of you here with me, if not all of you, who have been sort of leapfrogging and jumping timelines. And a lot of you probably experienced that when you had your original initiation and after that. Like, for an example, for me, when I first got lifted out of my old life, I moved like 14 places in 2 years, and it was like I couldn't settle because I wasn't allowed. I kept trying to find a safe space, but it was really just more of the old timelines. And finally, once I surrendered and was like, okay, where do I actually belong without trying to control it, things started to settle down. And I found a space to live for a few years before I found my current home. But things calmed down when I stopped trying to control the timeline and actually went to thy will, the highest will, like where do I belong? And that was super helpful because my human self stopped trying to control the outcomes, which actually opened up the opportunity for me to be where I was actually going to be aligned. And I do feel like this message is coming out specifically because, in a way, we've all grown, we've all changed, we've all learned how to surrender to the higher power and follow our guidance and all of those things, right? And so, all of the past, more recent things you've been learning how to do, like I said, like the acceptance, the surrender, the temperance, the embodiment, the shadow work, the embracing inner union, all of those things that you have been working on are important and they were not for nothing. Take a look at yourself and how much you have grown. Look at how you are handling and embodying things now. In what inspired you to make those changes may be the thing that you thought you were working towards. And it's not to say that it's not a part of it, but it does feel that we've reached this precipice point where we're absolutely ready to grow to our next levels. And so instead of saying, well, I've reached these goals, I'm feeling internal union, I've done everything that's been asked of me, I've been following my guidance, and here I am. And on some levels, it's like there's nothing in sight, right? Or you're feeling like you're not actually getting the results connected to the level of work that you've put in. Hence, I think that's in part why I've been guided to do the Golden River of Blessings. It's that energy in making a new space for the blessings to come in. And as I'm saying this, it's actually because you are ready to have more space to receive more. You've been receiving the guidance and the information and the embodiment of who you are. And now it's making space for many new things to come. Maybe, and in probably a lot of cases, these can be things that you don't even know exist yet. Okay. This is bringing me to a story many years ago when I first had like a manifestation board. And it was in the typical sense where I had a whole bunch of things on it that I thought I wanted. And one day my higher self was like, take it all off. And I was a little bit confused, but I complied. And there was one saying that I was allowed to keep on, and it was live the sweet life every day. Everything else that I thought I wanted to manifest was eliminated from the board. And I just sat with it for a few days. And that was when my higher self guided me. Instead of thinking about specific things that I want, focus on how I want to feel. Because if I'm manifesting the things that are in alignment that support those feelings, it won't really matter what it is. And it was a very incredibly powerful realization and exercise for me to focus on. And what did happen was that I created the space for how I wanted to feel. I started providing that self for myself where I could, right? It was steps and stages. And what happened is new opportunities started to present in my life that I never knew existed. I started meeting new people, new business opportunities, new friendship opportunities. A whole bunch of new things started to populate my life because I was no longer micromanaging the universe. Okay. So this is one of those points. And this isn't, you've been doing amazing. That feels important. You have been doing what has been called. The only reason things are not coming forward yet is just because it's not that aligned time yet. But within this space, you can get to know more parts of yourself. You can open up and surrender and ask, what is my next steps? Where do I belong now? What will be supportive to me now? Show me where I belong, right? And it's sort of like sending up your beacon, your antenna, because it might be something different than what you originally thought. But what will happen is you will be aligned to the places and spaces and people and community and experiences and opportunities that are going to be supportive for you and also supportive for others. Okay. And so, well, maybe your bigger overarching order is still in the process of being delivered. You're still experiencing life and doing new things. I want to also acknowledge another part of this because, as someone myself who built and lived a life a certain way for a lot of years in the same place, and then completely moved to a completely different timeline, but lives in the same general community, I feel like I'm living a whole new life, like I'm starting over brand new. Like I just moved to a new place that I've never lived. And it's true to some degree, right? But overall, it's the new timeline. And so instead of approaching the space or the places or the community as the old version of myself, I'm opening up like this is the first time I've ever done any of these things. In this, I keep being shown is an opportunity and a blessing that this Mercury retrograde season is providing us at this very big collective pivot point where the timelines are reopening and reshuffling. So now there's this opportunity for you to open up even to things that you've shut down in the past that may actually be aligned and appropriate for you now. It doesn't mean the past experiences or treatment or codependence or abuse or toxic. I'm not talking about that old part, right? But let's say you shut a place off or a thing off because you associated it with something toxic or codependent from your past life. When I say your past life, I mean this incarnation, but the previous version of you. Because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like pre 2020 Danielle, that was a whole other lifetime. Okay. This feels like a whole new, different incarnation to some levels. But thank goodness I didn't have to start completely over, right? So we have this fresh start opportunity. And so you may revisit or find yourself revisiting similar topics, similar experiences. But you are not the same. So those experiences are going to be significantly different. So if there was things that you enjoyed, but you closed them out because of the pressure or the codependence or the toxicity or the old patterns you didn't want to participate in anymore, you may find that reopening new timelines, new potentials, new windows, and new doors to similar experiences, but in a new way that you start to fill in your life where you felt nothing was occurring. Okay. So we're not talking about opening up to the old toxic timelines that you closed out for a reason, right? Like I said in yesterday's video, when one door closes, you want to make sure that you're opening another one. Okay. And this message is clearly being reiterated today. Allow yourself to take those walls down and open up to what is available and aligned for you now. Okay. As you're taking those walls down, which that message came into yesterday's member video for the Divine Feminine. If anybody is interested in that video, you can check it out on Patreon or YouTube memberships. But it came through that in the current energies, like the frustration of the masculine and feminine, it's coming up to this point because as they're both praying and asking for what is their next levels, they're ready for the new, but they're being met with some of these old frozen energies coming up or recycling. And that's again exacerbating the frustration in some cases or that inability to move forward or find the next steps. It feels important that this area is thawed out. And I was again talking about that high heart energy. So I know it took me some time to get back there, but in the message yesterday, it spoke about old pockets thawing out between the masculine and feminine where they both ran. Okay. And so, for those of you who may at one point have identified more in the chasing energy, this is not about you being in the chasing energy now. I want to be clear on that. This is actually an old part that was frozen off and suppressed until you were ready to handle it, is not, or both of you were asking higher power for your next levels. And so this part is being revealed so that you can thaw it and clear it out. So bringing down the walls, trusting that your standards and boundaries are in place and that you're perfectly capable of embodying that energy and caring for yourself now. So you do not need to keep it shut down and walled off. You're in the space where you can transform it so that that energy and space is available for you to work with in a positive way, embodying your life force energy, right? Instead of being frozen. And there was a message in there that said that it feels like whatever this energy is, it's important that it thaws out and shifts because they're each holding new keys for one another in this process. The feminine holds keys for the masculine holds keys for the feminine. And again, like I said, this feels very much in the high heart, the area between the heart and the throat, where the feminines have returned the heart of the masculine home to the masculine, and the masculine has returned the voice of the feminine home to the feminine, which ultimately freed both of them to embody their heart and their voice, right? Because we are all those energies. I spoke about that on a member video the other day as well. But again, right now, I'm going to go into the shared heart space, this high heart energy, and I want to see what wants to come through. Like I said, it's feeling quite frozen, and I'm actually feeling guided to choose one of my native heart cards, one of my favorite decks that I don't use very much, but it used to be part of many of my sacred circles. Maybe it will come in this Saturday's sacred circle, the Golden River of Blessings. We'll see what happens. But right now, let's see what wants to come through for this shared heart space for the masculine and feminine. What keys and codes want to be revealed, or what messages of support can help us to figure out what that is. Wow. Okay. So these fell in my lap, and we have Eagle Medicine and the full moon, which we just had the full moon, right? So we acknowledge the energy. We're still in that full moon energy. It was just 2 days ago. And with the Eagle Medicine coming forward, of course, the Eagle Medicine to me is always about that broader, bigger perspective, right? Where you're panning out and looking at the energies in a new way. There's also two dragonflies on the full moon card, which feels significant, connected to that transformational energy and representing the masculine and feminine. As I'm saying that, I feel like the current energy, the space that we're talking about, there's a message from this eagle medicine that wants to come through. And the 17 on this card is standing out. I'm going to pull from this, I'm going to read from the book, and then we're going to go from there. A breakthrough. Oh, beautiful. The sky is the limit, promotion or advancement. So clearly, this feels like whatever this high heart union, inner union, outer union energy is, it's connected to the breakthrough that everybody has been praying for. The medicine of the eagle has landed at your side. This majestic creature of the highest order has been sent to bring you guidance and release you from the limitations that have held you thus far. Wow. Carrying the vitality and life force of the great grandfather's son. This mandala is inspiring you to rise again and soar to new heights. Eagle also brings guidance from your ancestors, those that have come before you. You hold the wisdom that is passed down from generation to generation from your ancestors. The divine gift of enlightenment and the wisdom gained from experience is held in the very cells of your being. It is part of you, and this card is encouraging you to access that guidance now. Eagle soars above you, reminding you of your greatness and calling upon your ancestors to guide you in accessing the unlimited reservoir of wisdom that lies in your reach. Connecting to this wisdom will bring you a newfound vitality for a healthy, brilliant life. Love the expectations and limitations you have placed upon yourself, for as you do, they will lovingly released and carried via eagle to the light of the Creator. Okay, this feels really important, connected with everything that's been coming through. Because what I was seeing was sort of like we think of the old timelines, maybe, or our old connection to the earth where the ancestral wisdom lives. But that was where some of the ancestral trauma and patterns were residing. And that's what we've been clearing out. But the ancestral wisdom is the essence and the intelligence that continues to be carried forward with you to all of the timelines, all of the wisdom. And this is where I'm literally seeing sparks of like golden essence coming up from the earth, as well as surrounding you from the ancestors. It's beautiful. It's coming in almost like a golden mist. And I feel very clear that Eagle Medicine and the ancestors will be joining us in the Golden River of Blessings. This feels clearly like we've talked about just waiting for that breakthrough energy. And so with this, I know it might be getting a little bit long, but I'm feeling this energy now that we've opened it. So I'm going to pull a couple cards from the tarot just to bring about, we have this higher wisdom from the eagle and the eagle eye perspective. Now I want to bring in some practical physical world messages of support connected to this high heart area and what you might want to pay attention to or work with. Okay, so the Ace of Cups in the world flew out in the deck in my lap. And immediately, this Ace of Cups, look at where it is. It is right at the space of the high heart, or right, well, it's at the heart, but it really drew me into that, right? The high heart energy that we're speaking about. And what's coming to me with these is that the answers that you're seeking for your world, for your life, for what you are building, still live inside of your heart, my loves. And it feels that this space between the heart and the voice is thawing again. The heart of the masculine, the voice of the feminine coming together is where things will open and access. And as I said this, what I'm seeing is this energy of, okay, so you have the throat chakra and the heart chakra. And where they meet and come together, it's creating this yin yang energy in the high heart area. So, where the internal masculine and feminine come together, where the internal masculine heart and the internal feminine voice come together in the high heart space, that camaraderie activates. And it feels that as this thaws, opens, aligns, and comes together, it's going to support that opening up of your breakthrough. Because, wow. All right. So I said at the beginning of this, they hold keys for one another, right? So again, the keys are the two together, right? The answers are inside of you, and whatever is thawing and coming together is where you're going to find the answers to your next breakthrough. Okay. This is why the walls have to come down. This is why it's important to open back up and open up to what's meant for you now and allow yourself to be freed from the old constraints and protective mechanisms. Okay. The keys and the codes to what is next live inside of your high heart. Okay, my loves. And maybe I will do a recorded session around this. Maybe it's probably, I'm imagining the way the energies work with me, it's going to come into those golden River of Blessings, Sacred Circles, if you want to join that. We'll see how it plays out. Maybe I'll make those recordings available after for those who are not able to attend live, and we'll just see what unfolds. But this part with the high heart feels very, very important. And I love that this is coming through. So I hope that you found this supportive. And we're going to leave it there. I'm going to let you all simmer with that. I will see you soon. I'm sending you so much love. I'll put all the information in the pinned comment. And as always, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Sending you so much love. Peace.